And I've been getting message from Diwan, Layal, Ahmed, I am live. All is good. And this is my first Facebook live actually. And all I see is myself. Layal, can you hear me? Can you reply? I'm just waiting for confirmation from Diwan. NRA joined, Salma Barakat. Oh my God, NRA, hi. Layal, I am online on Facebook. Sabina from Berlin is here. NRA from Texas, Houston is here. Salma Barakat from Cairo is here. Okay. Shahira is here. Layal, I am online. Let's see, we'll wait for some more people to hear. Hearing just fine. Thank you, Mikhail, for the confirmation. Ahmad Imad Saad. Hi, Ahmad. Nice. Lovely to see all of you lovely people. We'll wait for some more people to join in. Are you able to access live? Layal, who is managing Diwan and my communication, she's asking. Yes, Layal, I am live. Yes, Layal, I am live. Hearing just fine. Thank you again. Maha. Hi, Maha. Valada, you joined from Tunis. How nice. Okay. Layal, we are good. Let's see who else is here. Okay. All right. Simone, wow, from Los Angeles. How nice. Hoda Sadi from Cairo. Welcome home. This is very nice. Can you introduce yourself? Yes, of course, I will introduce myself, Ahmed. Just waiting for some more people to join us. And then we'll begin the introduction, the program, the topics. Everything is coming very, very soon. We'll get another maybe 2 more minutes and then we can start. Diana is here. Nihal Shah is here. How nice. Layal is also here online. Very good news. Super. The people who are already here. Anna Ray, she is an amazing, amazing person who lived in Cairo for some time, and that's how I met her. She's in Houston now. Salma Barakat. Once it was a part of meditation and I slept on her for a bit. Mikhail, she was in Cairo, again, Cairo connection. Sabina has already lived in Cairo for some time. She also loves Cairo. So we have a lot of Cairo connection. I met Mikhail in Cairo and the rest is history. Shehra Bulnaga and Shehra, I would see her sometimes every single day for yoga. How cool. Yes, Anna, it's so good to see you too. How nice. Maha, I slept on her as well once. Walada, and Walada, please say hi to your mom. Hoda, this is good to see you again, second time online. Simone, thank you so much for joining from the other side. Diana also, I hear you from California. Miss you. Yes, Diana, me too. Nihal, Layal, and Amal, thank you so much for making this happen. Santa Cruz, Northern California, Simone, beautiful. Oh my God, Leonardo and Shushu, you both also are here from Italy. Nancy from Cairo, she's an amazing dentist, an amazing person. Naira, Nini, hi. Carol also joined. Nancy, yes. Layal, Ahmad Rauf, he's the tech support of Diwan. Thank you so much for making this happen. Hagen Carol, Vlad also. Beautiful Nini, hi. Dina Nosser joined. See, a lot of nice, happy people are joining us today. We have a great company. This is so nice. All right, it's 8:08 a.m. over here, and it's 10:08 p.m. in Cairo, in Berlin, and so on and so forth. I think we should get started. And as and when other people join us, we'll talk more. Okay, Mikhail, when we are done, could you make a map of all the places turning in from this beautiful globe? Of course, I will. Sounds good. Okay, so let's get started first, all right? So these are unprecedented times that we are living in, but in my humble opinion, these are the best times to be alive. These are the best times to be alive. This is not once in a lifetime opportunity. This is once in a century, maybe once in 2 centuries, and maybe once in the lifetime of the planet, that the entire planet comes to a total standstill. These are the best times to actually witness this. And when all this is over, maybe in a month, maybe in 2 months, maybe in 6 months, whatever it is, we definitely want to go out into the world with much more love and respect for the world, for ourselves and our abilities and our intentions. That is the whole goal, the whole purpose of this standstill. Okay, so just to summarize, and again, somebody asked for my introduction also. Trying to connect, you might not be able to because she's alone at home. Okay, Nahed, hi Nahed. Aisel is here. All right, 8:10 a.m., 10:10. We are 10 minutes into our live broadcast. Let's get working. Okay, so our topics, these are very interesting topics, and in the introduction. So my name is Chirayu. I am a holistic physician. I live in Los Angeles, but I was born in India. I was educated in India, and that still is my home, deep inside my heart. And that's what I carry everywhere, wherever I go. And LA is my second home. So if you ask me right now where is home, my head would say LA, because that's where I live. And we love it there, my wife and I. And India, of course, stays with me. And that's what a big chunk of what you'll hear from me today will be India, the Indian thought, and where we come from, or the civilization. It's India. India is at least 8 to 10,000 years old, maybe more, maybe less. We do not know. Egypt 7,000, so on and so forth. So, first of all, thank you so much, Diwan BookStore in Cairo. It is one of the best places to get anything from self-help to spirituality, any kind of support that you want. It is not because of the bookstore, but it is because of the people. People make the place. So thank you so much, Diwan, for making this happen. Nihal Shawi, we've been talking about this for years. And Nihal, if you can talk to Nihaya, she's calling me on Facebook. If you can bring her online on the page. Thank you. Thank you, Nihal, for making this happen. We've been talking about this for years now, and finally, not in person, but virtually it is happening. So thank you so much. And Layal and Ahmed for the support, Amal for being there. And my connection with Cairo is I was working for the Defense Ministry of Egypt in 2008. I was teaching yoga, nothing to do with military other than yoga. So it was yoga, acupuncture, holistic medicine, dietetics, nutrition. So that is my connection to Cairo. I studied holistic medicine in India. And yoga was a big part of my medical studies. So in India, you get to study yoga at a medical school. It's a very special school, I must say. And that's where I draw a lot of my experience from, and whatever I'll be talking about today as well. We have very interesting topics to discuss. So as we said, these are Corona times, very, very special time to be alive. And also this time coincides with Ramadan, the Islamic holy month of Ramadan, 9th lunar month in their calendar. And the topics are related to that also. Human sciences. Let's start with human sciences. What do we mean by human sciences here? So there are two parts of human sciences over here. One is fasting in general, and fasting in relation with, say, the times right now. And human science also, spirituality as a part of human science. It'll be a very, very interesting discussion. Let's start with the first topic, fasting. So fasting has been around for centuries as a tool for health promotion, but also as a tool to appease the divine. So there are a few types of fasting. So when we talk about fasting today, in today's time, we talk about detox, we talk about losing weight, we talk about getting healthy, so on and so forth. But there's a different perspective here. So the most common types of fasting processes are religious fasting, and different religious sects. There are different kinds and types of fasting where you either give up on certain types of food or you do not eat for a certain number of hours a day, like it is right now in Ramadan. In Hinduism, we have different days for different, say, planets for different deities, for different gods and goddesses. In Hinduism, also, we believe in only one God. We just have a different way of looking at this one God in different, multiple ways. There is religious fasting that we discussed. There is political fasting. Say, I want my political party to win, or I am adamant that this human right should be respected, or I'm fighting for a political cause and I decide to not eat. That is my way of civil disobedience. That is my personal civil disobedience, that I will not eat. That is political fasting until a certain goal is achieved. And then there is therapeutic fasting, that which is done to get better. So the therapeutic fasting history is very interesting. I'll keep it short. So somewhere in Europe, there was this king who was not feeling well, and he tried all different doctors, all different therapies, medicines, herbs, potions, whatever there was, but he just didn't feel any better. And he decided, you know what, I just will die. I will stop eating and I'll just die. And I will submit to the divine this way. I do not want to suffer. If I have to die, then I will die sooner. I'll just stop eating. I do not want to commit suicide, but I'll stop eating. And in a few days, he started feeling better. The more he went on fasting, the more he went on this riot that I will not eat. Actually, his health started getting better. And whoever the doctors or the herbologists back then were around him, it was then they started studying fasting in the European context. Very interesting. Now, when it comes to fasting, about this king getting better, that is just one random example. But the ancient cultures, old cultures, they saw human being as a whole. They did not say you lack carbohydrate, you lack cholesterol, you have excess cholesterol. They saw this person as a whole with the spirit inside. And to pass the message, the seers, the rule makers, they were such amazing people that they developed a system where this message could be passed to generations. And this is where we talk about superstitions. This is where we talk about, doubtful and the crazy stuff in our cultures. Like, on such and such day, don't eat this. On such and such season, do not eat that. But they have a very interesting scientific logic. Not everything, not everywhere, but yes, to a greater extent, yes. So they put, and to make it even more stable as a system that would follow for centuries, they would also incorporate these practices in, per se, religion. Very interesting right now with Ramadan going on right now, and the fasting process over here. Very happy yet very painful fact right now. Ramadan, I did some research, and if you're living in the southern hemisphere, like I am in New Zealand right now, you would be fasting for 11.5 hours. But if you live in the northern hemisphere, for example, in Germany, in Sweden, in Finland, you'd be fasting for 20 hours right now. And that that is some dedication. It's painful, but that's some dedication. So what does this kind of fasting do to your head and do to your body? So imagine if you have to go without food for 20 hours, and in a way you are accepting the challenge or submitting to the challenge. What would happen mentally if you have to go without food for 20 hours? Uh, that's almost a day. The courage, just the mental courage, it's a mental exercise. The courage that you get for deciding not to eat for 20 hours, and what we have is only 4 hours, that takes a lot of courage. So it's an exercise in the head, like you're almost fighting yourself for almost a day, and it's not easy, but you do it. You do it because you have a reason for it. You have a purpose to believe in, that this is, I'm not doing this for God per se, but I'm doing this for myself too. I'm doing this for myself because this is my dedication to my God or to the divine. Very interesting concept. So what happens, that's about the head part. What happens physiologically? Physiologically, so there's a very good amount of modern research happening on fasting and the beneficial effects of fasting on disease and on health, even if you're not ill. There's something called autophagy. Autophagy, auto is self, auto is... thank you. He's my friend over here. So autophagy is a very interesting concept where your body starts eating itself. Your body starts eating itself. But this autophagy is very interesting, that the body doesn't just start eating itself, but it takes care of the healing process. So any cell that is not useful anymore, that the rate at which these cells are nullified, that increases a lot. So autophagy, it starts improving your immune response. It starts improving your white blood cell count. It starts improving your capacity to get better faster. It's a very interesting idea that we get to know only, we got to know about this idea only now with modern research, but the old cultures have been talking about this for centuries. So two important concepts about fasting are how to get into a fast and how to get out of a fast. Not eating is not just the idea, but how to gradually get into a state where you're okay without food. Number one. Number two, during the whole period of fasting, what kind of, say, if you're talking about Ramadan right now, which is the maximum crowd, so I'm referencing Ramadan. You want to fast, that does not mean you do not want enough nourishment and nutrition in your body. When you fast and you fast the wrong way, your body, when it starts losing nourishment and nutrition, then there's a good chance that you will fall sick. So there's a science of how to fast. It's not just random not eating. So some tips that I can give you right now is that whenever it is time to eat, please eat good. Please do not eat any refined sugars, because that is counterproductive. Veggies, we already know this. Today in social media's world, what is healthy spreads very fast. So veggies, yes, but it's not just about being veggie eater, but vegetables have fibers, and these fibers, they help grow good bacteria. Good bacteria in our gut, in our digestive system, they thrive on fibers, and that to good fibers that mostly come from veggies, and something called inulin. If you like to Google inulin, it comes from chicory roots, and it's a very happy fiber that is called prebiotics. So that is something I would highly recommend that you give it a try. You also want to take care that during fasting, instead of eating just happy food, you eat healthy food, which includes vitamins and minerals as well. Especially in times of Corona, where your immunity might be compromised, that's when you need these micronutrients a lot and more often. So that is something to take care during fasting. And third important aspect with fasting is quantity of water. So in Ramadan, of course, it's a dry fast for most part of the day, but whenever you get a chance or chances or create few chances during the night to have enough fluids, they will do you a lot of good during the day. And especially if you're living in these areas where it is 20 hours of fasting, that's when you need those fluids. You might also want to check with your doctor if your health is a little compromised there. Again, fasting and immunity, especially in Corona times, something to think about is your sleep pattern. So with Ramadan, you have a little disturbed sleep pattern, not your regular sleep pattern. But I would highly, as a doctor, I would highly recommend that you get at least a few hours of sleep during the day, at least a nap, if not a full night's sleep. That is a big help when it comes to taking care of immunity in these times. Exercise. So when it comes to the challenges right now, in Corona times, we are talking about health and wellness and getting out of this Corona healthier, much happier. Exercise will do you a lot of good, so make sure that you get in movement, if not exercise. Movement is simple walking. Movement is simple free movements of your arms, legs, wherever you need to. There are some videos of myself on YouTube. Please check them out if you need to. Or a simple, no, I'll leave that to you. You're smart enough there. Something else you can use during fasting, during Corona times also is breathing exercises, yoga breathing exercises, pranayam. Breathing can also improve your immunity a lot. Sometimes or most times in stressful situations, we find ourselves very tight, very hard on breathing. We are hardly breathing. If you can take a check right now while you're listening to this, while you're sitting, try to observe, are you holding your tummy tight? Is your chest tight, or are you relaxed and are you breathing okay? Something to keep in mind whenever you sleep, whenever you lie down, instead of just going to bed or instead of just looking at your phone or reading something, make sure that you spend some time simply lying down and breathing through your abdomen. Breathing through your abdomen in increments, 4 counts in, you hold for 4 counts, and you're breathing out for 4 counts. You start with these 4 counts, you can increase up to 8, up to 10. If you have questions about fasting and Ramadan and Corona as well, please start writing them now. We'll be coming to fasting again in a bit. Something else I want to touch on is prayer. It's already 8:37. I do not want to take a lot of your time, but I have a lot of interesting information, especially starting now. Prayer is a very interesting concept. What is prayer? To understand what is prayer, let's try to understand a few simple words. Faith can move mountain. So this is an old saying from Bible. Faith can move mountains. That is all prayer is. It is this connection that you build. It is this connection that you build. The foundation is faith. Again, some fun facts. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. So I was doing my research on prayer, and especially on Google Books, there's something called Ngram, a very beautiful idea from Google that it searches the number of times a word was used in the last 200 plus years. So it gives you an idea of reference that how popular was this word, how popular was this concept in the last 220 years. Very interesting. So when I Googled the word prayer so the Google gives you the range from from the year 1800 until the year 2000 and 2000 plus. So Around 1800, the word prayer started appearing in books and references, and by 1840, it peaked, and then there was a long-lasting decline. The word prayer had started declining up until the the decline carried on up until the 1980s, 1970s, 1980s, and only after 1980s, 1990s, the graph started going up, the line started going up. In the year 2000, that's when it has reached the highest as of right now. And between 2010 and 20, the data, I believe, is still being collected or still being put in. So that is prayer. But interesting finding is the word God. When you Google the word God and how many times it was used and referenced, from 1800 until 2000 and plus, the word God remains very constant. So there was presence of God, but the idea of prayer, the idea of going to a entity of worship or a place of worship started declining after the 1840s. And we know that there was a Renaissance period across the globe. Uh, if you Google the word Allah, or if you Google the word God, it has a very similar trajectory. No, God is done. Allah, because of the Arabic language, Arabic and English, that's why the references are very different. I search in English language. If you search in Arabic, the result will be similar but little different. And if you Google the word Sufi, you'll find the reference that from 1800 there were very few uses of the word Sufi, but by the time it was 1900, the graph starts going up, and by the time it is 1980s, the graph is still going higher, and 2000 it has reached highs and it is increasing even more. Same thing with the word yoga. If you type the word yoga, if you Google the word yoga and its reference, 1800 there are few mentions, 1850 few mentions, 1900 few mentions, but after 1940, 1960, 1980, the word yoga has boomed in popularity. So when we look at these words, instead of just looking at these words and these lines, it talks about the mood of the people. It talks about mood of the world. It talks about what people are interested in, or what is working for the people. Because only if something works, people will talk about it, people will write about it, people will mention it, people will reference it. So when it comes to prayers, the word God or divine, it'll have different permutations, combinations. But all in all, the good news for us is the word spirituality is becoming more and more popular. Yoga is becoming more and more popular. Sufi is becoming more and more popular. Because all these concepts, ideas of yoga, Sufism, spirituality, they look at you as a wholesome being rather than parts of different systems. So this is very good news for us as humanity. Now, coming back to after fun facts, let's come back to a little core discussion on prayer. So there are different types and kinds of prayers. So some prayers is some ways of praying is where you communicate, where you're just talking to the Almighty. If you do not believe in God, it is okay. You're talking to something. You're talking to the universe, or you're talking, you're communicating with what you believe in, your belief system, whether it's confidence, whether it's willpower. Sometimes it is expression of thanks, that you're thanking the higher power, the divine, or yourself. Sometimes it is a request for help, that God, please help me with this or help me with that. Sometimes it is on behalf of someone. God, please help my mother fight cancer better. Please help my son do good in his exams, so on and so forth. So it is very interesting in how we communicate with ourselves and the divine. Very interesting. Or in some spiritual lineages, the act of praying is just by being. You're not asking for something, you're not thanking for anything. You are just in the state of being, pure observation only of the self and the connection with the divine. You let it flow, you let it happen instead of making it happen. And this is a free world. You are free to choose the way you want to pray. The research, the scientific research on prayer. So I was in my medical school, and in my final year, out of curiosity, I said, let me go to the library and take a look at prayer. So I went to my library. We had British Medical Journal. We had Journal of American Medical Academy, JAMA. We had some Indian journals, a big bunch of them. I collected them all, depending year-wise. This was in 2006, so I collected the past 10 years, 1996 to 2006, and I'd sit with all these bound journals. One bound book would have 12 issues, January to December, of, say, British Medical Journal, of JAMA, of the Indian journals, so on and so forth. I went in with the hypothesis that two ways. I went in with both, that maybe I will find information, I'll find God in these scientific literature and journals and books, or I will not find. So I went in with the assumption that in these books I will not find, and in some corner of my head I said, I'll have the other one also alive. I was very pleasantly surprised that each journal, the 12 months, so 1 year, each journal had at least some mention of the word prayer in healing, in wellness, in getting better. This was very eye-opening to me because these journals, peer-reviewed and very controlled studies, so I said they would not have much space and place and respect for something that is esoteric or something that is not measurable. But I guess that's what I guess back then. I was a kid, 20 something. I guess that these doctors, well, they also are believers. Very interesting to know. So all in all, I think I studied 5 journals, 10 years, and I found each journal mentioning about prayer for getting better, for healing, at least once every year or sometimes twice a year, which is not a bad start. If you look at the research today, there's so much research going on. Again, it piggybacks to the word spirituality and how it is prevalent now. We are open to the idea of healing differently instead of just taking medication. How about using the mind to get better rather than just a simple pill, which is called simple, which has long-term side effects? I'm not against pills, by the way. I use them in my practice also, but there is wisely used medicine, there is abused medicine. There's a big difference there. So when you talk about research, the research also is very, very confusing, because how do you measure something so subjective as prayer for getting better? I was in Japan 3 years back, and I have a very good friend in Japan over there. So I asked her. So she was taking me around to different areas and places, and we were at this temple in Tokyo. Huge temple, beautiful, amazing. It's a Buddhist temple, so there are statues of Buddha. And I see mostly the people over there were all tourists, visitors, and there were hardly any local people. At least the time I was there, that hour of the day, I hardly saw any locals there. It was just tourists. So I asked her, so tell me, how important is God in Japanese culture and Japanese society? And she said, not very important. Okay. I said, how important is religion in Japanese society? She said, respected, but not very important. And then I asked, so how important is civic sense, culture, uh, good habits, discipline? How important is that in Japanese culture? And then her eyes lit up and she said, yes, that is important. So spirituality is important. That comes from these principles. They come from spirituality, and not necessarily from religion. Religion forms the basis. It gives a structure, that is the mind, the brain, but the heart is spirituality. So how do you measure spirituality? How do you measure um, prayer in healing? So the research can conflict each other. Say, for example, if I study Amish culture in US, or if I study the Orthodox Jewish culture in Israel, or if I'm studying Orthodox Islamic sects in different Islamic predominant countries, if I'm studying Orthodox practices and sects in India. Uh, so, whose God is more powerful, or whose prayer is more powerful? How do you measure this? So, the research that I found over the years, and even this morning, I was still trying to research the latest information for you. Um, it says that the contradictions will always remain, because it is so subjective, and there are a lot of assumptions in how prayer works and how it doesn't work. So I came across two very interesting studies I'd like to share. So there was a study done in American hospital uh, of 600 patients. They were divided into three different groups, 200, 200, 200. And the first group was told that you will be prayed for. Somebody will pray for you. So rest assured, you'll be taken care of. Don't worry. A second group was told, I'm not sure. Someone might pray for you. Someone might or might not. So there was a maybe, may not scenario. So they were left in a limbo. And that second group, who were told that there's a 50-50% chance that someone will pray for you, uh, back office, a group of people did pray for them. And there's a third group with the same scenario as the second, that they were told that someone will pray for you, a group of people. But again, the chances are 50-50. We are not sure. We'll tell them to pray for you, but we are not 100% sure if they will. There's a 50-50 chance. And the third group, nobody prayed for the third group because it was an experiment, so that's how it was designed. Uh, and it was a 2-month study. It was the end of the study. The result was this: the group one, where people had prayed for this group one, about 59% of people, they were not feeling well, they felt sick, some of them died. So the mortality and morbidity was about 59% in group number one, where people had prayed for these people, for these patients. In group number two, there was a 50-50% chance that someone might or might not pray for you. We do not know. In this group, surprisingly, there were 52% morbidity and mortality. People not feeling good, people getting sicker, or people dying. Um, so people who were prayed for did worse. And the third group, uh, where nobody prayed for this third group, the morbidity mortality was 51%. So they did the best without any prayers at all. But they were told that, hey, there's a 50-50% chance. So how do we measure this? Well, here we need to look at the study with a different set of eyes. It's not just about prayer and God and goddesses and divinity and etc. Who did the study? Did believers do the study? Were the patients believers in, not necessarily believers in God, but believers of this act of praying, that someone thinks about you, someone takes care of you, though they are not here with you, in their heart, in their mind, in their soul. So there is a bias over here. That's the challenge that we're talking about. And there's this another study where a group of patients, they were divided into two groups. One group was prayed for and the other was not. Uh, Very interesting finding here also. So see, here's the thing. I want to go to heaven, but I'm not ready to die. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. So these two groups, they had terminal illnesses. So they were in hospital, in and out, in and out, in and out. They'd go to their home and come back to the hospital, go to their home, come back to the hospital. So this study was over 6 months. So one group, they were told that, hey, listen, there will be people who will be praying for you. And the second group, hey, listen, there'll be people who will not, there will be no person who will be praying for you. So the first group who were prayed for, eventually towards the end of their experiment and their scale and measurements, they had the same result as the people who were not prayed for. Nobody prayed for the second group. They had the same outcome as the first group. That was the end result when you compare the end result. But when you compare the quality of life, the people who were prayed for, the group one, first group, patients who were prayed for, they went home often. They had to stay in hospitals less. They had a better quality of life. Whereas people in the second group, nobody prayed for them, and they were told so. They spend most of their time in the hospital. Very interesting finding. So, how do you measure this kind of a thing? Where do you measure intensity of the prayer, or do you measure a person's conduct and character, that a happy and nice person prays for you and it works, and a criminal prays for you and it doesn't work? How do we decide? How do we decipher? The simplest way to decipher is to give it a try. See if it works for you. Why I'm saying this is because there is a third idea of research where it doesn't talk about prayer and God and how it affects, but it talks about you as a person. So the two studies that I mentioned, they were intercessory prayers where someone prays on behalf of you. So these studies were based on a second-hand experience. But what about studies that talk about prayers that you pray, that the connection that you make? How does that work? So keeping the prayer concept aside for a moment, these days we talk a lot about meditation, relaxation, and how it works for us on physical level, on mental level, de-stressing, so on and so forth. So wherever there's no orthodoxy involved, the research is very simple. So you study meditation. So there's tons of meditation research going on right now, and amazing results. Meditation is so effective that it changes your brain. Something called neuroplasticity. Say you have brain of a certain quantity, certain size, and when you start meditating, when you start going inward, your brain size can change. Your brain can grow bigger. It's true. It is science. Then there are areas inside the brain, not just the size of the brain, but to be more specific, say certain areas of the brain, certain sites where information is received, say the vision center or the speech center, the limbic system, the amygdala, so on and so forth. These are just medical details, words, jargon for some. Just by sitting, doing nothing, meaning going inward, you're very active inside. There's a concept in yoga called action in inaction and inaction in action. So from the outside, it looks like you are doing nothing. You are in inaction. You are inactive. You are inaction. You are in inaction. But deep inside you are very, very active. Your mind is active in a way that it does not utilize much of your resources. We keep it simple. So we have research proven uh, effects, evidence based, that meditation works great. And now, when you compare that sense, that idea of meditation with prayer, because in prayers, it is very similar to meditation. When you sit and you are dedicating yourself and your actions, your words, your ideas to the higher being, in essence, you are meditating. It's an active form of meditation where you are trying to communicate with a certain faithful idea. And there is no doubt that the effects of this kind of praying, this way of praying, will have the same effects as meditation. So, by proving meditation and its positive effects, in essence, we are also talking about prayer, praying, and the effect it has on our physical self, on our mental self. It is extremely, extremely, extremely beneficial. So, to put it in simple words, if you believe in God or if you want to believe in God, pray. If you do not believe in God and if you do not want to believe in God, absolutely your personal choice. This is not coming as a recommendation. It's your personal choice. You call it meditation. But hey, let's sit and meditate. Let's sit and pray because it works. Ask Nihal Shawi's mom, Nehaya. Hi, Nehaya. I know you're here. So Nehaya and I, we have great conversations at length, and her conviction, her faith is so strong, that she believes that God always listens to her, and whatever she asks for, it comes into fruition. It happens. She makes it happen. God makes it happen for her. So whether you call it law of attraction, intention, God, meditation, prayer, it is worth a try. And do your own research also, not necessarily technical research, but give it a go. See if you're fighting for something, with something, if you are in a fix, if you're in a struggle, try taking some external help, some divine external help. See if it works for you. You never know. Very interesting. And from prayer, we shift to our other topic of today's evening, family. Family units, and especially kids around us in family. I am looking at, okay. So family as a unit and kids. So right now, the most popular phrase or two words are social distancing. What is social distancing? In simple, in simplest of ideas, it is the distance between two people. The distance between two people, that is social distancing. You want to maintain that distance between two people. By now, we all are experts of social distancing. It's been a few months now. So family as a unit. So this might be the first time in your lifetime that you are staying together as a family for so long. You've been staying together, but staying together for such an amount of time, days, weeks, and months now, maybe even longer. This is the first time that we are getting to know ourselves, our partners, our family members with a different set of eyes. We know them, but it's very interesting to now start learning different aspects of these very people. So some interesting ideas that I've come across interacting with people is that you did not see this person growing, or you had a different idea, or you had a different perception of this person, your family member, and this person has pleasantly surprised you, or in some cases, yes, it's not so pleasant, but it is very interesting to see these dynamics. So here's what I want to say: that when all this is over, when this quarantine, when this lockdown is over, we want to, or at least I want to, I would like you to join me. I definitely want to come out missing this lockdown. I want to miss this lockdown because this lockdown has given us such amazing opportunity to to delve deeper into ourselves and our family members, the people that we dearly, dearly love. Um, so try to keep this idea in mind that you want to have such an amazing time inside your home or inside your country, inside your city, wherever you're locked down, that you want to come out missing the lockdown. You want to make the best of it. That is the whole idea. Um, so what does a family under a lockdown or otherwise do? So we are finding new ways, like especially given this lockdown again, we are finding new ways of living together. Maybe we have known this person, we have a different self expectations for this person or these people, but now the outcome is different. Their modus operandi, their method of operation under a lockdown is very different. So it is interesting to see these family dynamics. But to make the best of this kind of family dynamic is a structure. The sooner you have a structure in place, the better it is for you and for everybody else. You cannot dictate someone else's structure, but if you have the chance, then it is highly recommended that you design a schedule for the whole family to function together, to do what they have to do what they want to, and what has to be done, what is needed. Familial bonds, the familial bonds, and this is the best time to create this unity. And any family to function good, it needs this stability. So we like surprises. I was talking about this in another talk as well recently. We love surprises. A birthday gift or a gift, you always want to know what is under this wrapper. What will be my trip like? I'm so excited about my trip. And you find these surprising little places, nooks. You're going for a walk and you find a beautiful flower and you take a picture of it. We love surprises. But everyday surprise is not a good idea. You do not want to be surprised with everything and every time, because it disturbs our basic idea of functioning normally. Surprises are special, but that does not mean it is normal. To get a surprise gift every time, every year on your birthday, yeah, that it has an order. That's why it feels good, it feels nice. But to not have an order at all, to have surprises, like Corona is a surprise. Hey, guess what? Corona is here to stay for maybe 6 months, maybe 2 months, we do not know. But we are not very happy with this surprise, are we? So likewise in a family, a structure is a very, very good idea, because then it deletes the surprise, the shock part of the surprise. If you're working from home, make sure that you do your work from home, but you accommodate other family members also, whether they're elderly, whether they are younger than you. But make sure that you take time for yourself as well. Self-care is super, super, super important right now. If you do not take care of yourself and you're making yourself available for others all the time, it is going to drain you, and your the quality supply of your care will not last too long. You'll be frustrated towards the end. Something else, before we talk about family, bonds and relationships, something else that is very, very interesting. These are facts and figures. Again, fun fact time. News is for information. It is not for being influenced. You use news from different media, social media, your phone, news channels. Please use this information wisely. This is only information. This is not necessarily to influence us. The problem with news and media is that the media outlets, instead of just informing, they talk in such amazing, loud, and beautiful voices and noises that they become so influential. But let's not go that way. Let's use that information for our own sake, for our own safety, but not succumb to their noises and voices just because they are loud. Interesting facts: coronavirus disease 2019. That's when it started. So that's COVID-19. The fatality rate by age. So if you are infected with corona and you are of a certain age group, how likely are you to die? Very interesting numbers. Listen to this very interesting. I do not have the right word right now. I'm so engrossed with these numbers. Listen to these numbers with great anticipation. Fatality rate by age. So if you are 8 years and older, and if you get coronavirus, the chances of you dying are 15%. So if 100 people over the age of 80 are infected with coronavirus, chances are 15 out of these 100 people, elderly people, may die, close to 15%. If you are 70 years and above, so between 70 and 80, your chances of dying by corona are 8%. If you're 60, the chances are 3.6%. If you're 50 years, around 50 years of age, chances are 1.3%. If you're 40 years of age, chances are 0.4%. If you are anywhere between the ages of 10 to 30, the chances are 0.2%. Now, these are facts. I'm not making them up. These are facts. This is what we have. This is what we have on hand. So, if I'm 40 years old, the chances are 0.4% of me dying because of corona. How do I know I'll be in the 0.4 part or the 99.6 part? Which side am I on? That will be decided by using common sense. Using common sense decides whether you'll get to suffer, whether you'll get to die, or whether nothing happens to you. Common sense meaning personal hygiene, social distancing, so on and so forth. But you don't have to limit your life because it is so deadly. No, you can still live your life. You still have choices. Your physical movement is limited, but you still have a life. Again, a little fun fact, comparing coronavirus to other recent outbreaks, epidemics. So fatality by virus, what kind of virus it is, and how likely can a person die because of this virus. So COVID-19, and the fatality rate is 3.9%, so overall 4%. So if you collect the whole pool of people who are infected by this virus, which is now in millions, 4% of the population will die because of this virus. There will be plus or minus, as in when we go, we study, we'll have different numbers. But per se, Ebola, the fatality rate was 40%. The fatality rate of another coronavirus, SARS was 10%, and MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, the fatality rate was 35%. So compared to the previous epidemics, the fatality rate is very little, but this is a pandemic. This is everywhere. Ebola, for example, was in 9 countries. It was not in 160 countries. That is the difference. So let's use common sense. Let's use this information. Let's make it knowledge, and then that becomes wisdom. So your actions come from wisdom and not just from news, not just from media. Um, Talking about family again, so make sure that your family, especially your kids, are listening to media wisely. You'll be surprised at how much your kids know about Corona, and you thought they have no idea. It's very interesting how kids communicate with each other as well, family to family. And so someone asked me recently from another country, consultation, hey, listen, I'm under stress. My daughter's asking me, Mama, am I going to die because of Corona? I was frozen to death. I had no idea in the moment what to answer because I was so drawn into this idea of her passing away that I could not function. I could not say, I was just frozen. I had no idea what to say to her. And I have no idea where she got this idea that you can die from Corona. Well, the idea is from everywhere. You look at media and yeah, just listening to media, you can die. So how do you express ideas and information and news and safety to kids and to children? So instead of just saying, no, you're not going to die. Instead of being defensive, instead of being on the back foot, you want to be proactive. You want to take a thoughtful action to change the perspective of this child and also yourself. So instead of going into no, you're not going to die. Who told you this? Instead of going into that kind of a mindset, instead of fear mindset, you want to come from a faith mindset that no, you're not going to die because you're taking care of yourself and because you're following hygiene processes, because you're washing your hands, and because you take care of yourself. So instead of going into that frozen state, you want to empower this small little kid. So change the way you talk to your kids. That is going to be a big game changer. And reassure the kids, reassure that, hey, listen, I'm with you, you'll be fine. Because a lot of times where kids come from, they take on information and clues that are present around them. Kids, as they grow up, they have a very different way of learning. It's not just school and alphabets and numbers. They learn by seeing. And that they see you with their subconscious mind, not just with their physical eyes. In my yoga classes, most times I say this. There are 3 stages of yoga. The first stage is the do-do stage. If I move my arm up, you will move your arm up. That is the do-do stage. You're copying me. You're not thinking. You're just copying my action. The second stage is the know and the do. You know what to do. And the third stage is you do and feel. You move your arm, but the movement, the technicalities are done. You're covered. You know how to move your arm. But now it is time to just stay there and feel the movement, or feel the position, feel the breath, and so on and so forth. So the do-do stage, the copy stage, my arm goes up, your arm goes up. The kids do the same. That is how they learn. When they see you going into a happy reaction to certain information situation, yeah, they will also do the same. They will become you. And if you're functioning from a fear state of being, they will start catching up onto that fear as well. So watch how you respond to information and stimuli around you. Your body language, your choice of words, very important. And they hear these days with media, with phones, they hear information from 1,000 different sources. So you also want to filter information for them, because that is going to change their perception of things around. And on the side, we live in 21st century. Our hearts can match, but our heads may not match all the time. Meaning, you are a beautiful couple, you have a kid or a few kids, your hearts are still together, but your heads are not, meaning you are divorced, you are separated, or you are in two different places, and you have to share your kids. You love them. You have to share your kids. It's a painful idea, but hey, guess what? That's what we do what we have to. That's what we do. So if you are separated, if you're divorced, uh, this comes as a personal request to you. Hey, listen, share your kids with your partner. They also miss them as much as you would. They also love them as much as you do. And if you are that partner who doesn't show up, hey, listen, now is the time to show up. Now is the time to support. Now is the time to support your partner to help your kids. This, like, it's very easy to talk about rosy things. It's very easy to talk about things that are pink, that are happy. But this also is part of reality that we live in today. But in all this, again, self-care is very, very, very important. And kids, if you remember, when you were a kid, did you stand next to your mom or dad and just watch them cooking, or your family member, they were repairing something, they're fixing something, they were doing an art project, they were doing something, whatever they did, and you were standing next to them, watching them, and that is how you learned that art, that tool, that dish, and you still remember it as the back of your hand. So do involve kids in activities where you can, whether it is cooking, whether it is gardening, whether it is reading, whether it is informing. Talk to your kids. Only by talking to them you will realize how amazing, how intelligent, how beautiful they are inside out. So maintain this communication. Do not just go silent. Do not live in your phone, and do not let them live in their phones as well. It's over 1 hour now. I've done a lot of talking. We'll take a quick look at the comments and see if we need to answer some questions. Thank you, Arjun. Okay. Amal joined. Hi, Amal. To Siham. Okay. Nelly and Madiha. Hi. Catherine Hill from Houston. Hi. Reem Hamid joined. Hi, Reem. Marianne Hisney. Fateh Nofel, Reem's mom. Arjun, do we have any questions? Abeya. Hi, Abeya. Valley. Hi. Amina and Hoda Sadi. Thank you. Reem and Nagia, both. Can you share a link to your yoga videos? Yes, I will. Feten, hi Feten. Yasmin, oh my God, Yasmin, that's a big compliment. Nihal, Suadat, hi. Raji and Maya, you're here. Oh my God, you have a beautiful child. You both are beautiful. Suadat, yes, some points hit you today while I was talking. Nada and Sosan, hi. Muhammad says hello. Hi, Swadad. It's a constant dialogue between the person and God. God has the final say, of course, but he does hear the person. Yes, Ahmad Abul Naga, that is true. Prayers are always, always answered. They never go unanswered. So take care of what you ask for. Might be better to give the figures on how many will live, not die. Yes, well, that's true, Ahmad, but something hits the heart. Hana Rifai, hi Hana. Alia Defrawi join. Hi Alia. Thank you, Hoda. Thank you, Ahmad, again. I think the accuracy will be determined when enough time. Yes, that's true, Nihal. Thank you for the answer. Soraya Fahmi, hi, I missed your exhibition. Diana Zaki from JWT, no, not JWT. This is another Diana. Hi, Diana. Tanya, hi. Hind, hi. Thanks for the great meeting. Thank you, Nini. Thank you, Siham. Okay, looks like we do not have any questions. We have only comments. Thank you so much for meeting us here. Diwan, thank you for making it happen. And hopefully, God willing, we'll see you soon. Bye for now. I'm ending the video from New Zealand. Bye. Choose a file, save, yes.